This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
When you are afraid of death, you can lose sight of what is important in life and live a less fulfilling existence. Through Karmic Astrology and past life regression, you can stop focusing on death and focus on transforming your experience of self and reality by honoring your spiritual journey. As a result of this transformative awareness, you are able to see how your soul or consciousness may have been transferred from one body to another. Although the answers you receive from a session may be reassuring, it helps if you believe that death has a spiritual element. But even if you have no idea what happens after you die, you may be pleasantly surprised. Valeria interviews Maggie Donovan. She is a certified clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist. She received 500 hours of training from the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, a state-licensed school with the highest ethical standards, and in compliance with federal and state education standards. Maggie also possesses additional learning credits from the Past Life Awakening Institute and a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from the University of New Orleans. After rounding out a chapter as an educator of history, she was guided back to her calling as a hypnotherapist to aid in cultivating a healthier attitude toward one's spiritual journey and becoming acquainted with their soul's true nature. Maggie's mission is to facilitate a personal discovery of each individual's spiritual journey. These private revelations bring people closer to the higher power within themselves and bring clarity to their unique life's purpose. Maggie strives to combat the fear of death by offering insight into the nature of each soul and its spiritual home. Through carefully crafted sessions, using Karmic Astrology, past life regression, and traditional hypnotherapy methods, she works meticulously to ensure that each of her clients leaves with a better understanding of themselves and their spiritual journey. Meet Maggie at thehypnoticniche.com. Here's the interview with Maggie Donovan.
In your own words, who is Maggie Donovan?
I am a certified clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist. I graduated from the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy with over 500 hours of training. I have a degree in psychology from the University of New Orleans, where I'm located. I also have additional learning credits from the Past Life Awakening Institute. And my goal with this work is to, help people become closer to their higher power and to understand that they are more than who they think they are. And to quote, Dr. Michael Newton, who is one of my favorites, he says that my larger mission is to combat the fear of death by offering people an understanding of the nature of their souls and their soul and spiritual home, which sums up the work that I do.
Yes, that's truly beautiful. I read that, and that was one of the statements that really caught my attention. That one, combat the fear of death. And then you say, this is in your bio actually, Maggie strives to combat the fear of death by offering insights into the nature of each soul and its spiritual home. So I even have it here. So with that in mind, I guess my follow-up question is about spirituality. How do you define what spirituality is? And is there a difference between being spiritual in being religious, or they are one and the same?
Oh, that's a good question. Doing this work, I have found that everybody has their own unique path, their own unique spiritual path to walk. We all have our, set of guidelines that we set for ourselves in this lifetime, could have been carried over from past lives, so on and so forth. Karma, there's so many moving parts. I've always loved the quote that you're your own guru, because that is so incredibly true. When you're talking about religion, which I'm sure you hear this a lot, religion is very organized and it's very rigid, and you have to fit within a certain box. That is it's not what I have learned through doing this work. It's very individual, and it's all about going within to find yourself and your path.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel too, how I have experienced it and how I feel. Yes. I love what you said, that you are your own guru. Yeah, I heard that before, and everything's within. And it feels true, and has been true for me, although I have a tendency to look for signs outside from people, nature. I'm always kind of, it's almost as if my inner world and outer world, both of them are one. So I'm not trying to separate them. How do you feel about that, Maggie, when it comes to this understanding that everything is spiritual, everything is God, or everything's happening in God?
Oh, I love that. I do agree with that. That you can also say, like, through synchronicities or seeing things in nature, or just stopping to appreciate what you're seeing in nature and how fleeting that is in that moment in time, helping you to stay in the present moment. I mean, I'm getting a little overwhelmed just thinking about it. It's just so beautiful. But yes, I think that, with it coming from within, that in us doing the work within, it helps us to see those things outwardly. If you get what I'm saying, like, if we have a good or a peaceful inner world or a good understanding of ourselves, we're going to see that around us on the outside.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that resonates deeply, right? Because I also remember, before I had done all this healing work, I used to be very conflicted within the inside, and then I used to have a conflicted life. It was not peaceful. So inside out, they were reflection of each other, it felt to me. So it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And also this sense of appreciation, gratitude, that arises too very often now. It's so, I mean, it's incredible to be here. It's like, how can this be? I've been like fascinated with this reality of what is here, what's to be here, what's the purpose of being here. And I guess that has everything to do with your work as a clinical transpersonal hypnotherapist, especially the work you do with, you call it karmic destiny. That was interesting to see too, because lately I have been thinking about the word and the concept of destiny and karma almost being one and the same, really.
Right.
But you kind of use them together. So karmic destiny. What would that be? How do you describe what this is for people who don't know?
Sure. Well, karmic destiny for me is the combination of utilizing karmic astrology, the basic principles of karmic astrology, to help you better understand your life's purpose. And especially when you focus on the North Node placement in your astrological chart. So I formulated a session, what is your karmic destiny? So I utilized the principles of karmic astrology, past life regression therapy, and traditional hypnotherapy methods to help people embrace their North Node track. So utilizing your North Node or understanding your North Node, you have a better understanding of what your evolutionary soul's evolution is supposed to be in this lifetime. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. It very much does. From that perspective, yes. I'm a student of Vedanta, which is a little bit, I don't know if you heard about Advaita Vedanta. It's a Hindu knowledge-based philosophy, very ancient one based on the Upanishads. So basically, the message there is that there is just one reality, one absolute reality, or only God exists. So the idea is to see everything as not fragmentation of God, of that absolute reality, but that reality itself. So in a way, everything is pure consciousness, really appearing. It's not really. It feels like it's been created, but it's not too. So it's just like it's a dreamlike reality, the one that we are living right now.
Yes.
So my practice is contemplate and reflect and kind of try to close that gap from the point of view of the mind that has this very strong tendency to separate and to say, oh, this is good, this is bad, this is white. So it has been a fascinating practice to just contemplate the one reality, the one essence behind it all, everything that's happening. So because I have this this understanding, it's interesting when I hear, because I talk to a lot of people that they not just believe, but they have this almost scientific evidence for past lives, and like you do, and so many people that I come across. And I think everything it's valid because it's consciousness doing what it does anyway. And of course, why not? If this reality is happening right now, so gosh, I cannot even imagine how many realities are there, sub-reality per se, relative realities, so many of them, dreamlike or who knows. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense, Maggie. It makes a lot of sense, astrology and all that. I guess I don't want to go too much into what my understanding is, because it's a little bit, it might be far from most people's reality in a sense of, which is really not, but I guess most people are not ready to see everything as one reality and not two, and stop with the separation. And that would change everything. This reality here on Earth would completely change. But I guess it's, not all of us are ready, right, at the same time, perhaps at some point. So when you, I know you sent me some cases. They are called Karmic Destiny case files, and you have 1, 2, 3. And I was going through the one that was about title, The Activist, Aquarius South Node, 9th house. And this one, for some reason, got me emotional. And I was wondering why, because I'm paying attention to what's happening here. And the body, something happened when this woman was talking about that the way she lost her life, and that was worth it, not her last past life. And she talked about their final statement of this lifetime was, my dedication to not be quiet makes people mad.
Yes.
So yeah, you see, that kind of resonates in the sense of, within my own experience, that this somehow part of me, we can call the soul, the spirit, has been here before and has been going through some challenges and all. So I guess, gosh, the question that I have to ask you is this one. So what is, when it comes to this evolution of the soul, where do you think it ends? Does it ever end? Or do we keep kind of going from lifetime to lifetime, trying to achieve something, to become something?
Right.
How do you see that? Do you have that vision somehow?
That is an excellent question. And I wish that I had a really concrete answer for you. I do think that we do continuously evolve, and reincarnate, not necessarily in the human form either, other dimensions, other life forms.
Yeah.
I had a client one time who had been through a number of lifetimes with a Scorpio South Node placement, which is notoriously a very difficult placement. Those lifetimes are always filled to the brim with lots of transformation. That's hard for the client to get through. But when we moved into the interlife piece and we were discussing potential future lives for the client, the soul council who we were speaking to pretty much said that everything is about refinement, because they were going to have a choice between a couple of different lifetimes, but they were leaning towards one in particular that was very similar to the one that they're living now. And they were like, oh my gosh, no, I don't want to do this again.
Yes.
And it was like they understood that, but they were like, we are about refinement. So as far as getting to the end of this reincarnation cycle, in the work that I have done, I mean, I sort of stay in that loop. There hasn't been a client that I've had yet that, potential future lives, they don't have to reincarnate again, or they don't have any more karma. It just seems to keep going. But that doesn't mean that, that's the be all to end all. That's just my experience and the clients that are being drawn to me.
Right. So, yes, that's fascinating too, because I remember asking somebody, I heard from my spiritual teacher, so does it ever end? I think somebody asked the question, and then I think the teacher said, why would a dream end? Why would one a dream to end?
Right.
So if it is, so it's interesting to see, right? Because the alternative would be not appearing as anything, just it's almost like the space itself, or the air that's everywhere, but it's really nothing at the same time. It can be. I mean, it's not exactly, because air in space it's tangible in a way, and consciousness is not. But it's just it's a metaphor. So, how amazing! So another question is, how for you to be doing what you do, is that a life purpose? Do you feel? Have you had confirmation that this is something that you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime?
Oh yes, 100%. It was actually something that I had discovered when I was around 19 years old. I grew up in a traditional Catholic family, so this was not on my radar at all. But when I discovered past life regression and past life regression therapy and reincarnation, I just consumed everything I could. And I had gone to school and gotten my degree in psychology with the intention of continuing on to becoming a hypnotherapist to do this work. But I live in New Orleans, and unfortunately, Hurricane Katrina came about at that time. And so my life, like many of us, went into another direction. I was a teacher for a very long time. I taught history. But when COVID came back around, it came right back, and it came back stronger than ever. And my North Node placement, or my evolutionary point in the chart, is a Leo 7th house. So that is, partnerships, not just marriage, but, one-on-one partnerships, and moving into that Leo energy. So me being able to give people that in that one-on-one environment, like a warm, welcoming space to work on their healing. I tell my clients all the time too, I don't necessarily call myself a healer. I feel like I'm a guide. I think people heal themselves. And if they're open to it and willing, magic can happen in these sessions. Just magic.
Yes, 1,000,000,000 times to that truth. Yes. We were talking briefly about the off record about the fear of death, and that's wonderful to see you helping people to lose that fear. There's I mentioned the magazine. You wrote an article for the magazine, and I don't have the name here. I apologize for that.
It's Witchology.
It's titled, yes, Witchology. Oh, yes. Death is not the end. How past life regression can come back to the fear of death. So that's also on your website for those who wanted to read the article. I'll have the website here. So that was just, when I saw that too, was an invitation to just talk more about a topic that most people don't want to, they prefer not to, although we're all thinking about it, I'm sure, subconsciously, right? By eating right, going to bed early and all that, we're all afraid of death in a way at some level.
Yes,
so
it drives us
I wonder if, yes, yeah. So for you, Maggie, can you actually say that openly, that you're not afraid of losing the body at any moment, or there's I don't know if you call it fear, but this hesitation, like at that distance that we create between being here and not being here. So we know life loves life. So I guess in a sense we all wanted to be here. But talk to me from your own perspective first. What is your where are you at now when it comes to death?
Well, I feel that I have a very good understanding of what at least comes immediately following, and I know that countless clients who've gone through the death scene through sessions, it's not what you think it is, even if you feel that, even if it's a painful death, generally they don't even experience that, though they've already left the body prior to that. But for me personally, I'm definitely more at peace with death. But if I was to ask about dying right now, I guess my knee-jerk reaction, to be honest, is like, I have more work to do. So I think that would be my only things. I feel like there's more that I can do to help people. But overall, if it comes, I'm not scared of what's to come, because I do know what's going to happen, and it's going to be great. So.
Yeah, yes. You see, that's wonderful to hear that. But yeah, I have heard too, I interview people here that they went through, I think, a near-death experience, or experiences, more than one. And that was what they said in the end when they were about to leave the body, lose the body. They said that I'm not ready yet. My children need me, or something else. And then they stayed here. So it seems like we actually, do you believe that we choose to stay in the body longer? Is that a choice that we have? Or death is something that it's always is a destiny per se?
Well, you know what? I can't say that it's always. We have free will. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And I think that life is way more fragile than we think. And there are times where, when dealing with clients moving through the death scene, where they are ready to go. They're done. They're ready. And those are the most beautiful, crossing over experiences, because they feel good about what they've done in their life and they're ready to move forward, and then they have that wonderful experience. So.
Yes. Yeah. That sounds. I was just kind of trying to imagine that. Yeah, being ready for it. Right. That must be a beautiful moment. Yeah, when there's nothing left, and in a way that feels like a practice to me. Like always contemplating the end of this reality here, in a sense of there's nothing else to be done, nothing else to say, and just it's a surrender type of action. If it is an action, it's that let go. It's just truly beautiful, and I do connect peace, this concept of peace, to surrender. Do you have this idea too, Maggie? Does it make sense to you that they go hand in hand?
100%. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it feels that way.
I love that you said that it's a practice as well. Because I feel that if people do genuinely put themselves in that situation, or put themselves in the situation where, if they pass today, how would they feel about their life?
Right.
And it really puts things into perspective if you are honest with yourself.
Yeah.
But it also kind of clears the pathway of what you do want, if that makes sense. And what's most important to you. Like you said, with the near-death experience, still having children, that becomes what's most important. So on and so forth. But I love that it's a practice. I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I definitely feel this way. Yeah, being comfortable with the end, with ending this or living life, from those lens. What is asking that question? What matters the most? What's the most important thing to do, to be? So I would love for you to go through. I know your services. I have them here. I went to your website and I saw them there. Hypnotherapy sessions, karmic destiny hypnotherapy, past life regression therapy, spiritual journey hypnotherapy, and then you have discounted packages too, which is wonderful. So I would love to hear the process. Is it for everyone? Would you recommend, or the best? It might be a better way to put this way. Who would be the ideal client for you, Maggie? Do you have the ideal client in mind, or anyone who comes to you?
Well, anybody that comes to me, I feel that it's heavily guided. I've had a lot of clients come to me that I was really surprised, with their, background and everything, but we ended up doing some incredible things. But anybody that is open to lending themselves over to these experiences, I'm not trying to oversell them, but they can be very transformational. You get to know yourself on the soul level. You get a better understanding of where you've been and where you're going, in a more confirmed way, not just speculating. I love astrology and I utilize karmic astrology with my karmic destiny sessions. But even with that, we can look at your chart all day long and get a sense of who you could have been, what you could have done in a past life. But from doing so many of these, I have learned that we can speculate all day long, but you will never know until you get in there. And they always surprise me. I get a lot of Scorpio South Node placement clients. I don't know what it is. I attract a lot of Scorpio South Nodes. I think they're just more spiritual in nature. But they come to me and, sometimes they'll be in the same house, but the lifetimes are so different, yet they still fit very nicely within the confines of Scorpio ninth house. It is phenomenal. I just love it. And I love sharing those stories.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I see that you sent me some of. Yes, yeah. Oh, yes. Please continue, Maggie. Yeah, it was a little bit of a delay. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I apologize for that. But as far as a client goes, I feel that anybody that is open to this experience, I would be willing to work with them.
Yes, that's wonderful to know. So, okay, you're open and everyone who comes to you, they are meant to. I love that too. They're guided to. So, karmic astrology and past life regression hypnotherapy. So you can do both. It can be combined, right, Maggie? It can be one session or many sessions within those two, let's say, modalities. Are they separate in a way, or you always work with them together? Karmic astrology and past life regression. How it works? How many sessions? I would love to know that too. Is that something that there's an end to it, or it could be continuous, ongoing?
Well, it depends on the client. I do offer single sessions for my karmic destiny sessions. I have a full session where they get a karmic astrology report I create, a personalized meditation based on the session and a recording. And And then there's a mini session, and those two are just focusing on your South Node past life that's most impacting you today. Before the session, I don't look at the chart. I don't let them look at the chart. We go directly into trance to see what comes up with the intention of visiting the South Node past lifetime. We move through the lifetime, and oftentimes there's healing involved, because if somebody is coming to me for that session, generally they're looking for their life's purpose, or they're wanting to know why they seem to struggle with, themes of their South Node or things like that. So we move into the healing piece, which is essentially letting go and forgiveness. It's normally what the healing always comes down to, is forgiveness and letting go. And then we move into the interlife, where your spirit team comes and you have the opportunity to ask up to 20 questions, which are pre-prepared. So I ask them on your behalf. And then I utilize traditional hypnotherapy methods to set you forth on your North Node track. So with that clearing or that forgiveness or that healing that happened, that should help to make clearer path for your North Node to really solidify. And then I reinforce that with the meditation that you get, your North Node meditation. And sometimes I have clients who want to explore more elements in their chart, or they had a difficult time letting go or forgiving, and it can turn into multiple sessions. And I have a package for that too. I had somebody that wanted to work on a Neptune retrograde after we did the South Node lifetime. So we did that and worked on that and so on. So yeah, there's options.
Yes, that's wonderful to know. Okay. And for those who don't understand, Maggie, including myself, can you explain the difference between the South Node and the North Node?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, no problem. So they're called the lunar nodes, and the lunar nodes create one axis with the two nodes being like endpoints on either side of your chart. So they're opposing. They're not planets. They're points. Your South Node is energy that you've come into this lifetime with. It's generally something that you're very comfortable with. Oftentimes you may have mastered a lot of lessons involved in that South Node energy. When I talk about that, I'm talking about the sign and the house. So for example, if you come in with an Aquarius first house, South Node, you probably had many lifetimes or a recent lifetime where you were probably very independent. You were involved somehow maybe in humanitarian, maybe a humanitarian job or something like that. But you didn't really want to stand out. You just worked for the greater good of humanity fairly independently with that first house, which is the house of self. So your South Node energy is the energy you're comfortable with. Your North Node energy, most people are not comfortable with moving towards, but that is your karmic destiny. That is your evolution that you're meant to make in this lifetime. Most people can evolve slowly towards that, but a lot of times people can get really stuck in that South Node energy because it's comfortable. So if you have a North Node in, like I mentioned, mine was in Leo in the 7th house, I have my South Node in Aquarius first house. So moving away from working in the shadows and, being very independent and very humanitarian driven, I can take that energy, but I got to move into working with people one-on-one, 7th house, in a Leo fashion. And somebody with an Aquarian, South Node trying to become a Leo in that way is not easy. So,
I can imagine.
but that's what you're supposed to evolve towards in this lifetime, according to Karmic Astrology. And what I love about it too is when we go into the interlife, where with these sessions we talk to past loved ones, spirit guides, or their spirit team. They'll often confirm a lot of this astrology, which just gives it more credence moving forward. It's just I love it. It's fascinating.
Yes, it sounds like. And what would be the spirit team? Are they kind of relatives that have passed or angels? Who are they?
Well, they can definitely be relatives who've passed. They can be angels. I've had people's pets who have passed. I've had people's pets from past lives. I've had people who they never met that they knew in a past life.
Right.
And other beings, just other ethereal beings. So I just kind of say spirit team to cover everybody because you never really know who's going to show up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It must be fun too, right, Maggie? I know it's deep, it's meaningful, it's spiritual, but I sense that the way you speak too, that you because it's joyful, isn't it, to do this work?
So much. I love this work so much. I can't even. It gives me chills just right now. I love it so much, and I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just help whoever comes my way. That's my path.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It sounds like it. Do you work also in person and remotely through the internet, Zoom, and all this? Would the sessions be the same, or do you prefer on in person?
Oh, I do both, and I actually don't mind either. They're all, an in-person session is very intimate, but Zoom sessions are surprisingly very intimate, and they lend themselves so nicely to hypnotherapy because the client is already in an environment they're comfortable in, and they can control, their environment prior to. They have the headphones, which is definitely better. And at the end of the session, clients are often a little groggy when they're coming out of trance, especially when we go into those deeper sessions. So I feel better that they're at home rather than have them sit and wait 5-10 minutes before I let them get in a car and get on the highway.
Yes. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yes, I love that too, that piece. Another question is about preparation. Do you advise them to prepare in the sense of sleeping well the night before or not eating certain things, drinking water, things like that?
Yes, I do. If we're doing spiritual journey sessions or anything regarding going into past lives, I ask my clients to definitely get a good night's sleep. Try to avoid, drinking alcohol the night before if they can, or not overdoing it. But the biggest thing is meditating or praying, whatever it is that works for them, to ask for their guides or their spirit team members to be there for them. They always do show up though, but to ask them to make sure that it's a successful session and that they are going to see and experience exactly what it is that they need to experience at that time. I do underline that again before we begin, but I find that when the client tunes in, meditates prior to, it makes a huge difference.
Yes. Because it becomes more intentional, right, Maggie?
It does. And then the other thing too is spiritual cleansing practices are very important. I like to use my sage, my white sage, prior to the session and then after with gratitude and thanks. That's something else that I ask my clients if they practice anything like that, whatever it is, even if it's just taking a shower, to make sure that you're visualizing, anything that's so.
Yes. Wow. How amazing. It's it's something that because I'm not let's say as interested myself in looking for past lives. I do have the visions when I meditate, even before going to sleep and all. I have visions, and I'm pretty sure that they are not just kind of. Everything's dreamlike for me, but it's a different layer of the dream, a dream within the dream, in the sense of past lives, and maybe for me, it's not something that I'm looking to do. But of course, I become curious about it every time I interview somebody. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I should do a session. I should do that out of curiosity. Do you actually recommend? Is that something that you suggest as well, even out of curiosity, trying a session, or
Yeah.
only if you feel guided to go deeper?
If somebody is curious, I feel that that's a seed that's been planted, but that's just me. I think for those people, just a past life regression. I offer just a plain past life regression. It's a baseline session for my packages, but where we visit just 3 past lives most impacting you today, get to meet your spirit team, and then I ask a couple questions regarding your life's purpose, and then I pull you out. That session is great for beginners and people who are just curious.
Okay, so that's good to know. Yeah, and I agree with you. If you become curious, that's already a sign. That is a very good sign. Yes. So I'll probably see my husband. He's actually a lot more interested in the sense almost. It seems like he's being guided to do this. He had a session with somebody that I interviewed here, not recently. I think it was 2 years ago. But I think it was not hypnotherapy. No, it was something else. It was a reading. Yeah, reading. She was a medium. So that was different. But I'll let you know, because I talked to him about you, and he became very almost beyond curiosity. He's like, oh, maybe I can schedule a session. So he was almost like ready for it. So that was interesting to see. Yes, that was very interesting to see. I guess because he's still, in between, kind of in that dance, not knowing if death is something he's not comfortable with the idea of death. Okay. So I think something in him, it's trying, the soul, it's looking to for deeper understanding. That's what it feels to me. Yes. But because I try not to interfere, because I could easily kind of direct him, and that's not a good idea. So I just tell him things, and then, I interview this person today, or we'll talk about this, and I just wait to see how he will respond. Yes. So I'll let you know. It seems like he's ready for something like this. I'll let you know.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Yeah. And then another thing is, you sent me some cases, right? You called them, they're fascinating, the karmic destiny cases, 3 or 4 of them. So which one of them, let's say, impacted you the most? In a sense of, it's not just confirmation, you already have that for yourself, but in the sense of connection, it's almost like feeling connected to something at a very deep level. You mentioned one of them about was that I don't want to say that for you, but the one with Aphrodite, I think. Aphrodite.
Yes.
Talk to me about that. Which case impacted you the most? Or you felt really, let's say, not just fascinated, though. I wouldn't use the word connection because it's deeper. So talk to me about that without words for it. I lost words for it.
Oh, that's okay. As far as recent cases go, it would be the Aphrodite series of sessions that I did with a client. This particular client had booked a 4-session spiritual journey package. They had specific things that they were wanting to work on. This started as a completely regular past life regression therapy session, I just did a past life regression session, the first session, which is the baseline, where we visited 3 different past lives. And I don't think either one of us was prepared for what happened during that session. The client is highly evolved. We started with an alien lifetime, and the alien being started to speak directly to me about the client, what they were experiencing, and they asked if they could guide us through these 3 different lifetimes and to explain how they're connected. So then we moved into a second lifetime where the client was a little girl living in Ireland, but she was a ghost. which was very interesting. I actually detailed that on my website. I have conversations with Aphrodite on my blog. And this little girl had been kidnapped and murdered, and come to find out that the client, we move into the next lifetime, and Aphrodite, oh my gosh, it gives me chills again every time, because this client, it was an online session. We are on opposite sides of the continent, and I could feel the energy coming through the computer to the point where it shook me a little bit, and it was the goddess energy of Aphrodite coming through, stating that she was a part of this client's soul, and it was connected to this little girl who had been kidnapped and murdered on her altar, in her name. And it was something that she did not approve of at all, and it had happened quite a bit during this particular time period where kids were being brutalized and then burnt alive on her altar for her. So what she ended up doing was splitting herself into these children, to where she was the one who was taking on the suffering. But one of the biggest things that we had to work through with the client was to, release a lot of that trauma associated with that lifetime. And then there were subsequent sessions where the client had been a witch, or what you would think of as a witch or a healer, in the medieval period, I believe, and being persecuted for that. So it was just that is probably the most impactful recent series of sessions that I've had. Like I said, I was so taken by them, I wrote about them.
Wow.
And speaking to the goddess energy of Aphrodite was something that I was not prepared for. It was very humbling. And it's just one of those things, like, if you're there, you would understand. I know that it sounds out there for a lot of people, and it would have been something I would have never dreamed of in a million years. But when it happened, it was, it hit you deep. It hit me very deeply.
Yes. It's sad to hear how many of us have been traumatized, right, Maggie, in different lifetimes, and we bring those imprints into this lifetime now, the current one. And then that's why perhaps psychology and science cannot really understand why some people have some diseases, why did they have some psychological issues that's coming from a totally different realm that science can reach. So that's why it's wonderful to see people like yourself kind of open up this space for those who have not found answers, elsewhere.
Yes, I love that you said that too, because I know I'm big on quotes, but I heard a quote not too long ago that said that science is always a step behind the human experience.
Yes.
That really resonated with me with the work that I do, because there's sometimes, the help that they go look for certain issues, it doesn't touch it, but this work does for whatever reason.
Yes. So thank you so much for doing what you do, for being open to the depth that you have been open to. Thank you. I have my hands in front of me. So we're almost at the end. I have these ending questions for you here. But before that, Maggie, would you like to add anything that you left unsaid? Anything else that you'd like to add to this conversation before we say goodbye for today? Is there anything else?
Not that I can think of. I think we've covered quite a bit. No, not that I can think of.
No, and any question that I didn't ask? Gosh, I usually ask like so many questions, but today was almost like another reflective kind of meeting. You kind of took me to a different realm of reality, and I love them. But the problem is that, I kind of lose words and almost they disappear from me. I'm like, wait a minute, some not needed. Words are not needed anymore here. So thank you so much for your presence too. It's beautiful. Thank you. So before we say goodbye, I want to mention again your website is thehypnoticniche.com. I'll have the website here in a clickable way, so it's easy to reach your website. And your services, again, they are all lined up on your homepage, so it's really easy to see everything. You have the blog post with the articles that you mentioned here today. So I'll have that on the podcast notes. And my ending question for you, I'll ask 2 ending questions if you don't mind. I know we are running out of time. So the first one is, what 3 experiences, it's a question that I usually ask everyone at the end of the interviews. What 3 experiences you wish everyone to have before they lose the body, before they die?
Wow, that's a good one. Well, to experience unconditional love, to walk their life's purpose, and to not live in fear of societal expectations or standards or anything that anybody puts upon you. That's something else that comes up a lot, because you are unique. Yeah. And your job here is to be your unique self. You're like a snowflake, and same with astrological charts. They're extremely unique, and you're meant to embrace your uniqueness and walk that path. To be able to do that too.
Wow. Yeah. That's a beautiful message there. That's a beautiful bonus I was not expecting. Yes, beautiful message, right? Being unique self. Yes, a billion times. And my last question is, what is freedom to you? How do you see this concept, this idea of freedom in your own life?
I think that freedom is kind of touching on what I just said, being able to be your true, unique self, to embrace the gifts that you have and not be fearful of what anybody thinks or says, because you really have no idea the impact that you can make on another person or lots of different people if you are true and real to yourself.
Yes. Gosh, thank you so much again for the timeless wisdom, for what you're doing, your healing work, spiritual healing work, and for your presence too. Thank you so much, Maggie, for everything. Thank you.
Thank
you. And we'll talk soon. We'll be in touch again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye for now, Maggie.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Maggie Donovan and her work, please visit thehypnoticniche.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.